All right, everybody. Welcome today to the T.R.I.P Podcast, episode 4. It's already been 4 episodes, guys. That's crazy. Episode 4. And with today's special guest, it is myself. Today is going to be a bit of a different episode here. We're going to dive deep today, guys, into a topic that's been discussed time and time again. But I'm going to make this very specific, and I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. How to get your first deal. Now, I'm going to make this specific to how to get your first wholesale or fix and flip deal or just investment property deal. Depending on your exit strategy, it can differ. But I'm going to tell you how to get your very first deal. Now, like I said, there has been, I don't know how many videos how to get your very first deal. How I want to separate this is, number one, I'm going to make this hyper specific to the Toledo market or any Midwest market that's similar to ours. You know what I mean? Because the way you get your first deal and the way you want to, if you choose to scale a business in our market, is very different than how you'd scale a business or get your very first deal if you were in Southern California. You know, there's different nuances, different price points, different types of people. So I'm going to make this hyper focused on our market specifically. And then what I also want to do is I want to tier this. So I want to start off explaining how to get your very first deal if you have a $0 marketing budget. And I mean like zero, like legit zero. Like you can have $0 in a bank account, and I'm going to show you how to get your very first deal. We're also going to show you how to get your very first deal if you have a marketing budget, and that's marketing budgets of $500 to $1,000 a month. We're going to be talking what to do if you have $2,500 to $5,000 a month for a marketing budget, and then also $10,000 a month for a marketing budget. So I am really, really excited for this. So let's just get started here. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes of this. So I wanna get something very clear here in regards to marketing budgets and about marketing to sellers and in general, that whole idea and that whole strategy is that when I say $0 a month, $2,500 a month, $10,000 a month, I'm not saying if you have that much money, then you should be you should be spending that much money on marketing. I'm not saying that at all. So the money you set aside for marketing, number one, you should have at least 6 months of marketing expenses saved up to start any sort of marketing. I don't care if it's cold calling. I don't care if it's PPC. I don't care if it's Facebook ads. It can be whatever. 6 months, guys. 6 months. That is a safe amount that you want to have saved up and set aside for you guys to start as a marketing budget for whatever type of marketing you have. Number two, with marketing, and we're going to dive deep into this later, but I want to just preface this now because I just want to hit this home throughout this video, is the power of consistency. Guys, consistency wins. For example, if you are cold calling, okay, you will not be successful in this business if you are cold calling for 3 weeks and then the next 3 weeks you decide you want to stop cold calling and then go direct mail. And then after that, you stop, you start doing PPC, and then you go back to cold calling. That's not how this works. You will not really get anywhere if you do that. I'm just going to be very honest with you. With marketing, not only does your budget have to be 6 months set aside, you also have to have 6 months of consistent effort towards that marketing done within 6 months. So let's just say if you choose to do cold calling or you decide to do direct mail, you're going to be doing direct mail 6 months in a row straight and have that budget aside for direct mail. If you're doing cold calling, same thing. PPC, same thing. You guys get what I'm trying to say. So I just want to hit that home. Number one, when you are starting to market, make sure you have 6 months saved up, and then make sure that you are consistent with your marketing, not trying to change things up when you start feeling that things aren't going right. You know, you need to build momentum when you're starting off in this business, and maybe this is your first time getting into real estate, and there's a lot of anxiety over, does this work? Is this even real? I know that's how I felt when I first got started. I thought this was like a whole conspiracy against me to think that this was actually real. It's not. This stuff is actually real, guys. It just takes consistent effort. It just takes consistent and predictable effort. And I promise you, if you do that and you're enthusiastic about it, you will win. So without further ado, let's just get started. We're going to start with how to get your first deal if you have $0. Now, guys, again, when I say $0, I mean if you have literally $0, how to get your first deal. And this is market specific here to Toledo. So I wrote down a couple strategies here. Number one, if you have no money, how to get your first deal. The first thing I wrote down is to cold call realtors. Cold outreach to real estate agents. This is by far probably my favorite strategy if you don't have money. This works so well for a couple of reasons. Number one, instead of you spending all the money on marketing, you spending all of your efforts cold calling yourself or having a team of cold callers, you are leveraging real estate agents who are going out there and doing the outreach to sellers, that do have relationships, that do have opportunities and momentum on their side and opportunities coming their way. You can just build a relationship with these people. And I put a strong quotation mark over a relationship because that is very important. This is a relationship type of marketing strategy. You build a relationship with this person, nurture that relationship, and then all of a sudden they start bringing you these deals. Now, these deals could be, like I said, whatever. They could be wholesale deals. These could be deals you want to buy to fix and flip. These could be deals that you want to buy and hold. But they're gonna be great opportunities. So I love the strategy personally. How you want to do it is you just want to, now if you want to do this the absolutely free way, you want to go and you want to research all the brokerages that are in your area. So for us, go to Danbury, Howard Hanna, Key, all these brokerages. Find a list of realtors and just create a spreadsheet of all the realtors that are in those brokerages, and then just find their numbers and start cold calling them. They publicly post their numbers because they want to be talked to, guys. These realtors want your business. They want you to talk to them. So just get a spreadsheet of them and then just start dialing. And introduce yourself. Tell them what you're looking for, and just have a quality conversation with these realtors. I'm telling you, this is one of the best strategies. Even if you do have money, or even if you do have an up and running, acquisition business, I would still implement this. This is one of my favorite strategies and something that we are really hammering in our personal business as well, is to build these relationships with these real estate agents and bringing value to these real estate agents and working together. Number two, cold outreach to wholesalers / JVs. Now, this is probably the one that probably you guys thought of when you guys heard it, $0. This is the second one I wrote down. Now, this one works. This is actually how I got my very first deal, believe it or not. I got my very first deal from a JV. JVs work. In my opinion, what I think about JVs is that it's not as good of a strategy, in my opinion, as cold calling realtors. It still works. People do it at a large scale and they are very, very successful with it. The thing with JVs is that your deal size is going to be smaller, number one, because you're splitting a wholesale fee. Let's say if your wholesale fee was $10,000, you're splitting that. And this, by the way, reaching cold outreach to wholesalers and JVs, that's mostly towards wholesalers. Obviously buyers can do this as well, but I'm talking towards mostly wholesalers. Your deal sizes are going to shrink just because you're taking a portion of the deal. Even if you decide to daisy chain it and you want to add your fee on top, still you're not going to maximize what you could really make on that deal because the other person is probably taking home most of the money. So this is a good strategy if you want to just get your very first deal with $0. This does work. I have done it multiple times. It is a fantastic strategy. And this is another option. So the way you can do this is multiple ways. Facebook groups are a really good way to find wholesalers and to start building a network of wholesalers. And I would just keep a record of all the wholesalers that are in your market, and then just frequently reach out to them. Say, hey, do you have any deals coming up? Any deals available? I would do the same thing with real estate agents, by the way. I would keep them. I would keep their phone number. I would keep them in some sort of record, and I would reach out to them, and I would say, every couple of weeks, every month or so, like, hey, do you have something coming up available? And I'd love to take a look at anything you may have. So for cold outreach to realtors and wholesalers, I would still keep following up with them, and that way you have you're not just like a one and done type of customer to them. You're actually somebody that's reaching out to them, somebody that is, like I said, is building a relationship. If you have, what you're going to find with a lot of these $0 marketing strategies is that this is very relationship based, because you don't have the luxury of throwing money at something and you getting a return on your money. This is very relationship based, and it is actually a scalable business as well, because think about it. Let's say out of the 100 realtors you call or 200 realtors you call, you get one that's really, really good, right? And they start sending you a deal pretty much every single month, right? Now, if you do the math, if you maybe call another 200 realtors, you can get another agent that sends you maybe another deal or so a month. And that just keeps spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And then it's a very trackable business. Wholesaling or outreach to wholesalers is essentially kind of the same thing. If you reach out to X amount of wholesalers, one of them is going to be really, really good, or someone you can have a really, really close relationship with that you can rely on for consistent deal flow. So it's at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. A lot of these marketing strategies are going to be a numbers game. So, but with realtors and wholesalers, it is a very, I'd say, one of the more scalable ones in my opinion. So that is cold outreach to wholesalers. So far, guys, we have cold calling realtors and then cold calling or cold outreach to wholesalers to joint venture on deals or to buy deals if you're looking to be a cash buyer. All right, number 3 is this is like a bad word in real estate investing. I feel like nowadays, the MLS. Guys, the MLS has deals. I think I have not leveraged this as much as I should have in my own business, but we have done MLS deals in the past, and they are there. They are definitely there. MLS deals come in different ways. So you have, for example, the distressed listing. That is distressed in that obviously the property is, say, a distressed property, and the price maybe is a little bit higher than where it needs to be, but days on market are really high. So it's been racking up days on market. Let's say it's 100 days on market, and it's a really rough house. Those are the types of deals that you can reach out to the listing agent for and see if you can maybe get a reduction on the price. Because a lot of times when these sellers are putting these houses on the market, they are motivated to sell. They want to get rid of this ugly house, or maybe there's an ugly situation stuck to this house, whether that's a probate, a divorce, back taxes, pre-foreclosure. There's lots of situations that are behind the scenes when these sellers are putting up these houses on the market with agents. So if you see that a house is in rough shape, right? Maybe the pictures aren't the greatest. Maybe the description entails that there is some things wrong with the property, or that the seller is motivated. And then you also see that days on market are like 100 days on market, 75 days on market. That is a prime prospect. I wouldn't call it a lead. I call it a prospect to reach out to and just start a conversation. Just talk about the listing, figure out more about the listing, see what the seller really wants out of the deal, and see if you can put something together where you can get it under list price. Now, this is for the wholesalers here. I want to preface something about MLS deals, and I see this mistake being made over and over again. And I want to preface this and say this here live. Guys, do not lock up MLS deals at list price if your end goal is to wholesale them. I repeat, do not lock them up at list price. You have to lock them up significantly under list price if your goal is to wholesale them. I say that because if you are trying to wholesale these properties, I want to put yourself into a cash buyer's shoes, right? You, the wholesaler, have got a property that, let's say they listed at 100,000, right? You think it's a good deal at 100,000, so you lock it up for list price. And you decide to take this property that's listed at 100,000 on the market, and you want to put it out to your buyers at, let's say, 115. Your cash buyer sees this. He sees that the house is listed for sale by you at 115. He checks it up online. He sees that it's on market for 100,000. What do you think would go inside that? What do you think is happening inside that cash buyer's head? This guy wants me to pay him $15,000 for a house I can go get it for $100,000 for, or probably even less. You know what I mean? That's a big red flag for a cash buyer, because it just there's no. and I hate to say it this way, but this is just how buyers think, guys. I'm sorry. There's no value being exchanged there. I mean, you just got a property that they could have went and found themselves and negotiated for, list price, and then you just added $15,000 more. Buyers are looking for deals, and when they see, even if it is a deal, guys, even if this is an actual deal, 99% of the time, it's not going to fly with buyers because of the fact that they see it online for less, and it just doesn't make sense to them. It just doesn't. It's just psychologically just not going to work for them. Even if the numbers aren't bad, it's just not going to work for them. They're not going to want to buy the deal. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Now, where I have seen locking deals up at list price work for wholesalers is if it's a very fresh listing and you lock it up like same day, and it has in the listing is getting a lot of activity. So say if the listing agent is getting bombarded with offers first day and it's priced really, really well on the market, then I've seen it work, and I've done this myself. I've seen it work where you can assign it for higher than list price if it's that specific situation. If it is listed for a really good price on the market, and you get it as soon as you possibly can, probably the first day on the market, you can get it on the contract, and then you can resell it for maybe 5-10 more to your buyers. If it's priced really well, and if it's a very, very fresh listing. That's the only way I've seen it work. But again, guys, the MLS is a fantastic way to get deals. People get deals solely on the MLS, and they do really well. So I highly recommend using the MLS and finding those distressed listings and reaching out to them. So that's the third strategy. Ooh, this fourth strategy. Okay, guys, this is a good one. This is a really, really good one. This is one that people don't talk about. This is one that I feel scared sharing. All right. Some people may know it. Some OGs in the market may know what this is. But this is a good one, guys. This is something you're gonna want to write some notes down if you have not written notes down already. All right. Probates in Lucas County are a free way to get leads and to get your first deal. I repeat, probates. I'm explaining what a probate is for those that don't know what probates are. A probate is essentially the process of when somebody passes away and they have no will. They have to go through what's called the probate court to go through all of their assets and all of their liabilities, and to give them to the appropriate creditors, if it's a mortgage or credit card debt, or if it's an asset like a house or other assets they may have, to disperse them to the rightful heirs if there has not been a will already established. So that's what probate is. Probates, they're really good leads, because a lot of times they're very delicate situations. So these situations need to be handled with delicacy. But if you have a good conversation with these heirs to these properties, you can end up putting together some really, really good deals. And probates in Lucas County, I'm not sure about other counties and other markets that are maybe nearby, but I know for Lucas County, these leads are free and available for free online by Lucas County. So, and they come with the phone number skip trace. So when I say free, I mean there's not even skip tracing involved in getting the information. You can directly get the information of executors and attorneys that are handling the cases of these probates, and you can start conversations with them and reach out to them and ask them if they'd maybe consider an offer for their house that is going through probate. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to show you exactly how to do it, because that's your job. But that is a strategy that you can leverage to use, and it is a fantastic strategy. All right, and then number 5, I wrote one down, but I kind of wanted to add this in mixture with the wholesalers that we discussed as a second strategy. And what I had written down here was leveraging other people's data. So wholesalers, I don't, no matter how you put it, at the end of the day, we are solely reliant on our marketing and sales skills to get deals. I'm talking about people that are starting businesses and ramping up and have a lot of data. They're really reliant on that data to do deals, especially if they're cold calling and cold texting and doing mailers, because they're reliant on that data to send out to homeowners. So if you are brand new, and this is something I've thought about for a long time, like if I was getting started, how would I have gotten started? I would have done this. I would have leveraged other people's data. And what I mean by that is I would start building relationships with other wholesalers. So if there's a big wholesaler that's in your market that's doing a lot of deals, I would build a relationship with that person. I would bring value to them in whatever way. And I would establish trust between you two, yourself and wholesaler. And then I would basically ask them down the road, hey, do you have data that I could cold call? And if there's trust there, the wholesaler, if they're smart, would say 100% absolutely. Why? Because think about it. It is you're adding value to them by being pretty much a free source of leads. And they don't have to pay a cold caller to do it. They don't have to train a cold caller to do it. They don't have to do any of that. They trust your, assuming that you've already been doing the other couple of steps that I've been telling you to do. You have some experience in having conversations with sellers. They will give you a list of 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people to cold call. And from there, you will get deals. You will get deals. I had, in my early journey, I had somebody that I had built a relationship with. And he was doing, I don't know how many deals, maybe 7 to 10 deals a month. And he was huge on cold calling. So we had built a relationship. And how I built that relationship was by sending him deals. So I was cold calling myself, but I didn't have as much records as him. So I was cold calling myself, and I was just sending him all these deals, or all these leads. So I was like, hey man, look at this lead. Does this lead look good? Hey, does this lead look good? I was basically asking him to comp my deals and just make sure that my numbers looked good to see if I can make a good offer to the seller. So after a couple of times of doing that, and after a couple of weeks, we had established a pretty good working relationship. And so we decided, hey man, I have this list of about 18,000 records. Do you want to cold call it with me? And we'll split whatever we get. I was like, heck yeah. So I got a list of 18,000 records, and of those records, we did a lot of deals together. So guys, and they were free essentially, because I didn't have to pay for marketing. I don't have to pay for data. I didn't have to pay for skip tracing. I didn't have to pay for any of that. I had a dialer at the time, which we'll get into later on in this video. But the data and the skip tracing was essentially free, and we did a lot of deals together. We made a lot of money through those lists, and I did that with multiple people, and it ended up being really a really successful strategy. So, and I still do that, and I do that for people too now because we have tons of data that we give out to people to help other people out if we have a good working relationship with them. So this is a really, really good strategy, and it kind of goes, with the same, kind of mixes the same with the cold outreach to wholesalers. Once you've cold outreach to a wholesaler that you have a good relationship with, it would be smart to maybe reach out to them and ask them for some data if they have data that they wouldn't mind sharing with you. That way you guys can both call together and do some deals together. So that's one of my favorite strategies. And that's about all I have for people that have $0 a month in marketing. How to get your very first deal. Now, let me know if you guys ever want to see me do videos about each specific topic in the future. But all in all, that's really all that there is. Really only there is 5 strategies, and just doing one of these strategies will get you your first deal in a couple of months. Around 90 days is a good time frame to have for yourself to get your very first deal. Some people get it shorter. Some people get it in a couple of weeks. Some people it takes them 6 months. For me, it took me 5 to 6 months. It took me 5 months to get my very first deal. 6 months to get my very first direct to seller deal. So I would I would definitely look into these strategies. Again, I'm just going to go through these again. We have cold calling realtors. We have cold outreach to wholesalers / JVs, joint ventures, the MLS, probates, and leveraging other people's data. Guys, if you have right now, if you're in this situation, if you have $0 a month to spend on a marketing budget, the rest of this podcast is not for you. So, with all due respect, go take action right now, because I've given you all the steps now. Go get yourself a list of realtors. Go to the Facebook groups. Start reaching out to wholesalers. Go find the probates on here in Lucas County, and start taking action, because the rest of this is not meant for you. I'm sorry, but hopefully this will be a great strategy, and hopefully will result in you guys making a whole lot of money. So let me know how it goes, guys. $500 to $1,000 a month. All right. So now you have a little bit of money saved up for the next 6 months that you can allocate per month. How do you spend it? All right. Now this is very, very simple. I would do what's called, and this is like a very famous word. I'm pretty sure you guys know what this term is called. I would do what's called driving for dollars. Driving for dollars. I would get a dialer, right? And I would download some sort of property research software. There's two that I really like: PropStream and Batch Leads. I use Batch Leads. PropStream is a really, really good one. But I just use Batch Leads just because I get my data from Batch, and it just integrates really, really well for me. But both are really good. All right. So this is the strategy that I would use, and I would hyper focus on if I'm doing my very first deal. If I'm trying to get my very first deal. So driving for dollars. How would I do that? What is driving for dollars, first of all? If you are unfamiliar with what driving for dollars is essentially you getting in your car, going to a pretty good neighborhood. You know, you don't want to go all the way into like the inner city neighborhoods that are like $10,000, $20,000 houses. I would stick to like the better neighborhood, like houses that, let's say in our market, are at least going to yield the ARV of at least 70,000 and up. And I would drive around, and I would find the ugliest houses that you drive around, and I would note them down. And I'm going to give you a software here that will actually streamline this and make it a whole lot easier, where you can just literally, it'll show a map on your phone, and then you just tap the property on your map, and it'll add it to a database for you that you can export to your computer later. Really, really helpful. I'm going to give you that software here shortly. But to explain what driving for dollars is, essentially, it's just you going out there and finding ugly houses. Like literally, you getting in your car, driving around the streets, and identifying ugly houses and adding them to a list. Now, the software that I use for this, there's a couple of them. I like Deal Machine, but I also like Batch Driven. Batch Driven is also a part of Batch Leads, which is why I like Batch Leads so much, just because it has good data. Number one, you can pull really good lists from it, which we'll get into that later. There's different lists you can pull. And you can also use it to comp your properties really well. And then also there's Batch Driven, which is the tool we use to drive for dollars. And you can just literally tap it on your phone, and it'll save to like your database within it. And then you can export that and skip trace it, get the phone numbers, and start calling. And what skip tracing is basically the way you get a phone number for somebody. So it's basically a service where if you put in a address and a name of a seller for a property, it will research and bring you back the phone numbers and potentially even emails of those sellers. So that's all skip tracing is. All right. So driving for dollars. So I would drive for dollars. I would shoot. Now it just depends if you are full-time or part-time. If you're part-time, I really think it's possible that you can get 100 addresses a week. If you're putting in weekends as well, I think it's really, really doable. It sounds like a lot, but trust me, 100 addresses, you'll get that done in a piece of cake. 100 addresses a week would be really, really good. If you're full-time, I would shoot for more. I would drive for dollars like a madman if you're trying to get your first deal. If you're full-time, but if you're part-time and this is something you're transitioning into, I would try to shoot for about 100 addresses a week is a pretty healthy amount. And then I'd focus on, again, just the ugliest houses you can find on the street. So, like, for example, what I mean by ugly: tall grass, right? Ashy roof, right? Maybe a tarp on the roof, right? Old windows, dirty siding, maybe some abandoned cars on the driveway, right? Maybe there's a notice from the city on the front door. A lot of different things that you can see nowadays. Today's it's fall. Today's the first day of December, so it's still technically fall. So if you see that their leaves have not been touched, it might be a sign that maybe that house is vacant. Maybe that house is not being taken care of. What's the story behind that? Let's figure out. Let's call them. So that's what you want to look for when you are driving for dollars. All right. So we've established what driving for dollars is. Now, what is the avenue you want to reach out to these people with? Right. I would cold call them. Right. I would 100% just stick with cold calling in this bracket of budget. And I would 100% get a dialer, guys. I would 100% get a dialer. And what a dialer does, it will dial the numbers for you once you get them. So say you skip trace these numbers, right? You've got your list from Driving for Dollars. You've skip traced it. You got back all the numbers. It'll come back to you in an Excel sheet. You put that into your dialer, and then the dialer will essentially call these numbers for you, and you just have to answer them coming in live. So it will. In comparison to hand dialing, it'll 3 to 4x your productivity. So you're essentially like a superhuman cold calling, like on steroids. It's awesome. So I would 100% get a dialer. And the dialer that I would recommend for you guys, there's a lot of dialers out there. I'd recommend 2 if you're cold calling yourself, actually. I'd recommend 2. I'd recommend Mojo. Or I would recommend what we use, and this is called Ready Mode. Ready Mode and Mojo are the 2 that I would recommend to use to start with cold calling if you're using a dialer. And really, if you're cold calling, I'll be honest, if you're not in the $0 a month marketing budget bracket, I would get a dialer. I would do whatever I could to get a dialer. There's no excuse why you should not have a dialer. I was putting this off for a long time, guys, but I would 100% get a dialer. It will save you so much time. It will help you reach your goals so much faster. Because think about it. If you are cold calling, it will 3 to 4x your productivity. It'll 3 to 4. It's basically like a time machine, if you versus hand dialing. So I would definitely invest into a dialer if you were in this budget. And then also, I also added, like we talked about, Batch Lead / PropStream. So these are property data softwares. And not only do they do what we had just mentioned, not only do they skip trace for you, not only do they have a driving for dollars application with them where you can drive for dollars and pin properties as you're driving, but they also are places where you can get data from. So when I mean data, I mean lists of types of property owners. So I'm talking about properties that are that are absentee owners. So maybe they have a different mailing address than the subject property you're targeting. You can find properties that are tax delinquents on these websites. You can find properties that are bankruptcy or pre-foreclosure or vacant or any type of motivating factor. You can filter lists based off those motivating factors and pull them and put them into your dialer to call. So Batch Leads and PropStream is what I recommend, and very simple to use softwares. And if you are so we talked about driving for dollars, but say if you want to add another list to your driving for dollars efforts, which I would recommend, let's say while you're not driving for dollars and you have nothing left in your driving for dollars list, you're going to have those that downtime between you not having data and you having to go and drive again. So in between those, I would have a list that you're calling. And I would recommend an absentee list. I would recommend a high equity absentee list, and a tired multifamily list. So essentially an absentee, which is essentially just an absentee list, but for multifamilies. So I would do an absentee list for houses and then also for multifamily as well, while also driving for dollars. and then those two, you'll be unstoppable. You're going to do so well with those two lists and your efforts on the dialer. Now, when you're on the dialer, I want to talk about whether you're full-time or part-time, kind of what your schedule should be. If you are part-time, it really depends on your schedule. I would fit in, at least an hour or ideally 3 a day, Monday to Friday, if you have the time to do it. If not, try to find some time on the weekends to do it. And that just depends on your schedule and what you have available to fit with your work schedule. But if you're full-time, and you're calling, I would recommend you calling for a minimum of 3 hours a day. 3 hours a day. Knock it out in the mornings. I just find that best for me. Just knock it out in the mornings. That will give you the best results. That'll give you enough people that you're calling per day to where you can start having some consistent leads coming in from your efforts, and that'll turn into a deal sooner rather than later. So I would definitely take that into consideration, how long you should be dialing. If you are full-time, 3 hours a day minimum. If you are part-time, depending on your schedule, if you can do 3 hours, great. But if that's going to be conflicting with you and your schedule, at least try to find an hour a day, and then maybe try to fit in some work on the weekends as well. All right, and that's all I have for the $500 to $1,000 a month marketing budget if you are getting your first deal. Now, that's a very, very simple strategy. That's pretty much what I used when I first got started, and that's how I got my very first direct to seller deal. So this is what I know the best, and I know that this to work the best. So this is a tried and true strategy. I guarantee you, if you do this for a minimum of 6 months, you're going to pop some deals. You're going to definitely pop some deals. By that, you're going to be far richer by the end of that 6 months if you do this strategy. Awesome. All right. So these next two brackets are, so we have $2,500 to $5K a month, and then we have $10,000 a month. Right now, so these are going to be a little bit different than the $0 to $1,000 a month, in that you have a more substantial marketing budget with your efforts. So you're going to be able to use a lot more. You're going to be able to leverage that a lot more. And this is, if you have $2,500 a month up to $10,000 a month that you want to spend, this is really people that want to start building a real estate investing machine. And what I mean by that is that they're leveraging not only their money, but they're also bringing on people. They're also bringing on a lot of data, a lot of systems in place that are involved in this. So keep that in mind. If you have that budget to spend, you will get your first deal, but I would look past that and figure out how I could use this budget, which would be to start, really building up a quality real estate acquisition business. All right. So I would, so with this $2,500 a month to $5K a month, let's start here. With this, what I had written down is I would do the same thing that I'm doing here in the $500 to $1,000 a month. But what I would do is I would just add, again, some leverage. This is the amount of budget that you want to have when you want to start kind of taking your time away from all of the income servicing activities and focus them all on income generating activities. What I mean by income servicing, I mean pulling the lists. I mean, making sure that your lists are in the dialer, making sure that you have fresh leads to call every day, making sure that your spreadsheets, that you have your leads in, or your CRM is looking good. Things like that. Just all the very small things that are in your everyday that are taking away from you doing the income generating activities, which at this time should be your cold calling or your driving for dollars. So how I would leverage some of this money to get rid of that is I would hire myself a VA admin assistant. So I would hire myself an admin. And I would get them onboarded with all your softwares with Batch Leads, with Ready Mode or Mojo, or with Batch. I'd get them onboarded with all of that, and then I would have them take care of all the little things that are taking away from your time on the phones, on appointments, or in the streets driving for dollars. So that means, I mean, anything like we just mentioned, pulling lists, finding data, all the little small things, making sure your lists are organized, making sure that, you have a fresh list for the next day to call, things like that, all the little research stuff, outsource that. With this type of budget, you have the funds to outsource that to a VA from the Philippines, where you can just pay them $5-6 an hour, and they can take all that off your plate. And it's and once you do that, it'll free up so much of your time where you can just spend all that, all those hours that you bought back. Let's just say, I don't know, an hour or two a day that you brought back, put that towards cold calling, or put that towards driving for dollars. And you can just get so much you can just go so much faster with all that extra time you have on your hands. So I would definitely invest into somebody that can do that. You also have I believe, especially towards the 5K a month, you have the capacity to bring on a second cold caller for you. So you won't be able to get somebody maybe that's in a call center, or well, maybe you can, but this is going to be a cold caller that you can hire yourself from the Philippines that can cold call aside with you. So you can basically double your efforts. Now, they're not going to be as good as you on the phones, albeit they're not going to have the same accent as you. They're not going to have the same knowledge of your markets that you may have, but it is going to be more ammo that you can use on your front line to get leads in, which is the most important thing. And if you do train them well, if they are trained well, especially if you get somebody that is managed, which would be a smart move, I would 100% get a cold caller to cold call with you. Right. I would keep the same softwares. For driving for dollars, still batch driven, get a dialer with Ready Mode, and then Batch Leads or Prop Stream. And then what I would also do, since I have a beefier marketing budget, I would spend more money on getting bigger lists. So if you're because think about it, let's say you get your admin assistant, you're calling for an hour or two a day, and then you have another cold call that's calling, say, 30-40 hours a week for you. That you're gonna need some data for that, right? So I would definitely save up, and especially if you're towards that 5K a month range, to have maybe an amount where you can get, I would say, with 5K a month, you could probably get around, I think I was doing the math, maybe around 5,000 records a month where you can feed somebody and yourself leads to call. And then also leverage maybe some of the older lists that you have as well. Say if you've been doing this actually this is your first deal, so you won't have newer lists. But you get what I mean. Make sure you have enough lists to call, enough data to have, so both you and your cold caller can call together and not run out of leads like in the middle of the month. So keep that in mind. This is also something where, say, if you don't have enough, you can also leverage other people's data, which goes back to our first portion of this video where we're talking about outreach to wholesalers. You can use that strategy to use data for yourself and for your callers as well. All right. Now, if you have this type of budget, you also now have a good enough budget where you can kind of look at other marketing channels outside of cold calling. And for those that are asking me, by the way, I want to make this point before I get into this. Why not cold texting? What's wrong with texting? Guys, today I'm recording this on December 1st, 2023. And at this point of time, texting is dead. Texting is dead. I would not be texting in today's market. The reason why is because the carriers have hammered these texting platforms so much to the point where the types of messages that you'll be sending to these investors and the people that are texting, you guys know what I mean. are not going to result in you getting quality leads. Essentially, you cannot market yourself as a real estate investor and market yourself as somebody that is looking for properties to buy via text anymore. At least not in the way that we used to. And that has significantly driven down our amount of leads that we've had for texting to the point where we just had to shut it down. Because we were spending a lot of money on texting. We were saying like 2,000 texts a day. And we had to completely shut it down because of the reason I just explained. So for that reason, I am not adding texting to any of these because in today's market, at least, maybe in a year from now it can change. But in today's market, today, again, we're recording December 1st, 2023, texting is not good. I'm sorry. But back to, again, the $2,500 to $5,000 a month marketing budget. You have a more of a robust budget where you can start looking into other marketing channels, more inbound marketing channels. So for the most part here, we it's been heavy on cold calling. Here, if you so choose, you can look into getting you can invest your marketing dollars into something like direct mail or PPL, which is pay per lead. And we'll explain that. Let me just explain direct mail. Direct mail, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's the stuff that you get from like your insurance company or from your, whatever company that sends you mail. You can send that to homeowners. So yellow letters work really, really well. I have not done mail myself just because I am more of a cold calling guy. That's just kind of my roots. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm just a hunter on the phones. So I have not done direct mail, but for the people that have done direct mail, this is a good budget to have, especially in our market where it's not as competitive as, say, a Tampa or a Phoenix or a Los Angeles, where you can have this kind of a budget, $2.5 to $5K a month, and you can do some damage. With direct mail, you can send a decent amount of mailers every single month, and you can really do some damage with direct mail with this type of budget. The other one I have is PPL. So PPL stands for pay per lead. Pay per lead. A lot of you guys may know what PPC is. Maybe these more seasoned people may know what PPC is. PPC means pay per click. PPL means pay per lead, and essentially what PPL is essentially it is a bidding service online where you can bid for leads that have opted in to a pay per click website. So there are these huge companies that send out, and PPC essentially is Google Ads. That's essentially what it is. So there are these mass companies that send out tons and tons and tons of PPC or Google Ads nationwide, and then once they get these leads into their system, that are submitted to them, they will put them up for bid for investors or for wholesalers. So you can be one of these people that are bidding on these leads to get them once they are submitted to you. So the cool thing about this is that you don't have to have a monthly retainer for a marketing company to handle this for you. If you have maybe in the past have done stuff with Google Ads or Facebook Ads or what have you, this is strictly it's pay per lead. So you pay per lead that you get, and you can set your budget. You can set your type of bid, like high bid, low bid, what have you. A lot of different ways you can play with it. But pay per lead is a really good way to get inbound leads being sent to you. And these are usually really, really motivated leads. The cool thing about PPL that is not really so available with direct mail or other types of marketing strategies that are inbound is that you can actually get refunds for the leads that you don't want. So what I mean by don't want is that, say if a wholesaler, and this happens so many times, say if a wholesaler sends you you get a lead form from a wholesaler from your pay per lead, you can refund that. Let's say you spent $300 on that lead, and it's just a wholesaler that has a deal that you've already seen before. You can request that money back. Same thing if it's like a piece of vacant land or if it's like a mobile home without the land. things like that. You can request your money back. That way you're not paying for leads that you don't want, or that wouldn't really have ended up being anything. You know what I mean? So that's the cool thing about PPL. And with that, it'll really keep your costs down. And it is overall a really, really good strategy to use to build a good momentum of leads coming in. And then same thing with direct mail. Now, what I want to say about PPL and direct mail, or any type of inbound that you're really going to be getting into, the difference between inbound and outbound, other than the mechanics of them, is their cost. Inbound leads are significantly more expensive than outbound leads, right? An outbound lead, maybe, and this is very getting in the weeds here, but they're significantly less expensive. So if you are doing these types of strategies, mail or PPL or PPC or any types of inbound strategies, without complicating it too much, because I tend to do that sometimes, you cannot just wholesale these. And the reason why, and this is market specific to Toledo, Ohio. If for some reason, if this came across your feed and you're in Southern California, you can definitely wholesale these. But if you're in Toledo, Ohio, you cannot just rely on wholesale to get a good return on your money with these leads. And the reason why is because our average assignment fees here are going to be lower, right? If you're really, really good at wholesaling, if you end up becoming an outstanding wholesaler, which hopefully that all you guys can be, you will have a really hard time staying at a $10,000 to $12,000 assignment fee. A really hard time. And that's if you're really, really good and you're really choosy about the deals that you take on, and you maximize them to the max. You can average a $10,000 to $12,000 assignment fee, right? But with these leads, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars a month per deal to close these. So let's say you made $10,000 on a deal. Great, but it took you $3,000 to get that deal if you're using these strategies. So just keep that in mind. I mean, can you wholesale these? Absolutely. I would not make it your number one exit or your only exit strategy. I would definitely, if you are using these types of inbound strategies in our market where your cost is going to be higher per deal or per lead, I would definitely look into doing fix and flips. I would definitely look into doing wholesales. I would definitely look into doing novations. And we can cover that in other videos if you guys want to, what those types of strategies are. But long story short, those are strategies where you can actually yield a higher amount on your deals by maybe holding them for a little bit longer. But you'll make 3x more, where then these strategies would make really a lot of sense. So I would keep that in mind, guys. If you guys are using direct mail, if you guys are using PPL or PPC, which I would not use PPC if you're doing it $5,000 a month because of management fees. I would definitely make sure that you're not just wholesaling these, because if you do, it's not going to be as profitable for you, and you might end up being negative on some deals as well. So just keep that in mind. All right. So that is $2,500 to $5,000 a month. Now, this is our last bracket we have. This is for if you are starting wholesaling or starting real estate investing with a $10,000 a month marketing budget. So essentially, what this is where you are 100% pretty much leveraging other marketing and other people. This is pretty much going to be basically the $2,500 to $5,000 a month strategy, but just upgraded to do more. So that entails, for example, let's start off with the cold calling. If you are cold calling and you have a $10,000 a month budget, this is a good time where you can start investing. Instead of you making the cold calls, you can hire 2 to 3 full-time cold callers, or hire out a call center. Now, there is a lot of debate as far as what you should do in this situation. If you should get a 2 to 3 cold callers that you hire yourself and train yourself, or get a call center. That is totally up to you. Just know with the call centers that it is 100% managed by other people. You will have some input, of course, with the people that you are calling your leads, but I would just be mindful of the difference between these two. And so you have the budget to either hire out a call center, a really high quality call center, or get a team of 2 to 3 cold callers under you where they are cold calling for you. Also keep your admin in place, because especially with $10,000 a month, there's going to be a lot of data at hand. There's going to be a lot of systems and things that are kind of moving around at hand that you want somebody that is trained that can take care of those types of little small things. That way, you're not so focused on the little minutia of the business. All right, and then back to, we have direct mail, PPL/PPC. So PPC is pay per click, where you have your own Google ads going out there and getting them back. I would at this marketing budget, I would definitely recommend doing PPC, and you even have a little bit where you can invest into maybe direct mail on the side with it as well, or cold calling on the side with it as well. Just depends on how you want to play with it. I think with $10,000 a month, you have really, if you play your cards right, a good amount for 2 to 3 good marketing channels that can really do some damage. So we have direct mail again, PPL, PPC. You guys, it's basically taking what we get from 2.5 to 5K a month budget and just taking it into scaling it to where you have the same marketing channels, but you're just spending $10,000 a month instead of $5,000 a month. You're just basically just doubling your ad spend, or your marketing spend. All right. Some other channels that I'd recommend if you are in this channel, in this bracket, is maybe looking into radio ads as well. Radio ads work really, really well. Kind of similar to the Google ads, the PPC, except they're radio ads and the demographics are just a little bit different, or actually a lot different. Just because people online versus people that listen to the radio are kind of different people. There's some overlap, but you know what I mean. So I would definitely look into doing radio, PPL, PPC. Again, just rehashing direct mail, and this is a good time where you can hire 2 to 3 cold callers, or hire out a call center that can handle your cold calls for you if you decide to do that. And then you have an admin as well, who's handling pretty much all of your marketing efforts and making sure that you're not getting too deep into the weeds, and that you're just focused on answering the phones and talking to highly qualified, motivated sellers. So that's what I would do with $10,000 a month as a marketing budget. Pretty much the same thing as I would do with 5K a month again, but just amplified. So that is, guys, that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it is going to be helpful to people that are just watching this, or just getting into our market, that want to go and get some deals and get their very first deal. Again, I just want to rehash, like we talked about in the beginning, that if you guys do want to start marketing in this type of way, you want to have at least 6 months saved up. That goes for any of these brackets. You want to have at least 6 months saved up, right? And then also, you set the expectation that you will not get your very first deal with any of these for at least 90 days. So 3 months, pretty much. Just set that expectation. Can you get it done sooner? You absolutely can. But the average is going to be 90 days. So just keep that in mind, right? And if you can get past that 90 days and you can get that very first deal, you can be unstoppable if you decide to keep doing this. Because if you can weather the storm for 90 days, there's a lot that you can do. You can do a lot of damage with this business. So again, guys, that is about it for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Reach out to me. I'd love to help. And let me know if you guys want to see other videos like this. This is my first time doing a video like this and putting this information out online. I am not a guru. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not a guru. I'm just somebody that actually does this business, and I want other people to do this business successfully as well. So if you guys found value, make sure you show that, in the likes and in the comments. Share this to somebody that you guys think may find value, that may be in the Toledo market, or maybe just in a similar market. There's different market, there's similar markets to Toledo where these same principles apply. So, yeah, guys, I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. God bless. Goodbye.